Strawberry Alarm Clock on FM104. Get ready.
The Strawberry Alarm Clock with Jim and Mark.
FM104.
Dublin's hit music station, FM104. It is the Strawberry Alarm Clock. And in studio is a food artist, a maestro, a triple Michelin star chef. It's Marco Pierre White. How are you?
Very well.
Listen to that voice, huh?
I know.
Nice to be back in Dublin.
They say that the look of disappointment from a parent is the best way to make a child know that they've done something wrong. Is one of Marco Pierre's looks, I'd say, but when you were working in the kitchen on a daily basis, I'd say that was one of the things that people were afraid of getting, would they?
I think a look.
The look.
Silence.
Okay.
And before you walk off, just pause, look at them.
Right.
And then walk off. You've delivered your message. There's no reason to swear. There's no reason to shout or belittle.
Okay. Just imagine Mark here has made a huge technical error and ruined.
I'll do a sad face first of all.
Ruined a beautiful sauce that you spent hours working on. Give him the look.
Oh, you. And you want me to be serious?
Please, sir. Please. Do you ever look at Alan Sugar and think he's a wimp? I'd kill him.
Alan's a master at what he does. He does it very well. Everyone has their thing, and Alan is Alan. He's quite forceful. He projects himself, and that's how he controls his environment. Gordon screams, shouts. I'm just quiet.
You are quite quiet. You're very
Calm.
sort of, there's an inner peace.
At one with oneself.
Is that's the ideal place that's the goal to get to there?
I think self-discovery is true success. I think when you accept yourself as a person, you've discovered yourself, then you do things for the right reason, not the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You fall in love for the right reason. You have the opportunity to realise your true potential as a human being. For 22 years of my life, I was in a kitchen 6-7 days a week, and all my energies went into my food. All my energies went into the restaurant. So when I retired, age 38, I was socially inept.
Right.
I hadn't developed as a person. I was emotionally stunted. And so for the next 5 years, what I did was I went to the woods. I went to the river banks, did a lot of fishing, a lot of shooting, spent a lot of time with nature. And you learn a lot about yourself by being kind to yourself and doing the things that you would like to do. And by the time I left the woods and the fields, I was a very different person to the boy that had walked into them 5 years previous. I became more philosophical. I started to look at life around me in a very different way. And when I was in the kitchen, going back to the kitchen, I was always quite quiet. I would never allow radios. I'd never allow chatting unless they were talking about the job in hand. But I came from the old world of gastronomy, which was quite disciplined. The chefs in the 70s were quite basic. They were quite firm. And, like today, like you see me on Hell's Kitchen, I just look. I just process my thoughts. But
it works.
I cast my presence over the kitchen.
Yeah.
I tend to speak quite quietly. I speak slowly, which forces people to listen. But the one thing I do on the Hell's Kitchen is I hide all their mistakes. I hide all their failings. Because we have a job to do, and that job is to feed up to 100 people in an hour 15.
Yeah.
My predecessors had all failed. I'm a great believer that when you do something like Hell's Kitchen, it's about strategy. Because strategy will always compensate for talent. Talent will never compensate for strategy. And I was always taught to feed people to the best of my abilities with the team that I'd been given. You have to feed people. If you're invited for dinner, you have to feed them to the best of your abilities. And none of us like failure. And so by hiding the mistakes of the contestants, assisting them, helping them, not shouting, not swearing, working with them, and working much harder than them, they follow you. Because if we don't feed them, we've all failed. But the spotlight's on me as a failure.
So as a leader.
And so you have to lead from the front.
You carry the can.
If I look at my apron at the end of every service, it's dirty dirtier than everybody else's. My brow is wetter than everybody else's. You know, you have to lead by example. And I came from that old world of gastronomy, which was a Scoffier's world. It was a very hard world, but a very fair world.
Yeah.
And when you see me on Hell's Kitchen, you'll see someone who's very firm, there to do their job to their best of their abilities. And had we ever failed, which we haven't, people understand they're forgiving because you've tried. You can't knock people for trying.
So if you go into a shop, right, and you, for whatever reason, don't like the jumper you bought, and you say to someone, I want to change this, does anyone ever give you back chat or say, that doesn't go with our policy? Or do they just go, no problem, Marco, what colour would you like?
I never walk into shop to buy a jumper. And even if I bought the wrong jumper, I'd never go back to the shop to change the jumper. I just wouldn't do it.
Do you find that as transferred across your life, that no one takes, or you don't get any bull?
I'm a great believer that, you know, it's like when I go to a restaurant. That's a better example. And I walk into a restaurant. You know, if I have to wait an extra 10 minutes for my main course, it's no big deal. You know, I've been in that position myself in the kitchen where you're under pressure. I think, you know, it's just accept things for what they are, because really what's important is the people you're sitting with. And if you have to wait an extra 5-10 minutes for your main course, it's no big deal. Who cares?
This is good, that the things that you learnt when you were away like that. So if you could go back in time and just for a moment bump into your young self when you were sort of more in tune with the hustle and bustle and things, and not more in tune with yourself, what one bit of advice would you give yourself?
I'd have advised myself to just take things that little bit slower. Because like lots of young men in the industry, and young girls, they want it now. Yeah. Be patient, and it will come. Just be respectful, work hard, do your job. And you know, what will happen is you will elevate through the ranks, and one day you will get to the top. And the most important is to stay respectful, learn your craft, never take shortcuts.
Speaking of your craft, you have a restaurant in Dublin, and also you have a book out. So let's get to the book first. Marco Made Easy, a 3-star chef makes it simple. This is good news for myself and Mark.
Yeah, we're simple.
Trust me, it's foolproof.
Brilliant.
If it doesn't work, blame yourself, not me, because the book works. It took me 9 days to do it.
Right.
I walked into a kitchen, 9 days, with all my bottles, my jars, my packets, and my meat. I produced all the photographs. I wrote all the recipes at the same time. That's how easy it is.
Is this Marco's
There's no
favourite
basics.
things now, or is it just how to help people cook faster?
Well, cooking at home should be a pleasure. It shouldn't be a chore.
Right.
And, you know, using bottles, using jars, you can create great effects. For example, if you look at the steak au poivre, or the peppered steak,
Yeah.
it's Worcester sauce, double cream, and Knorr. It's as simple as that.
Right.
And it's delicious. Oh, and a few black peppercorns, of course, on the steak.
Yeah, yeah.
And within 8 minutes, you've got your dinner. And the whole thing is, how can you give dinner that sense of occasion without very much technical ability? Bottles, jars, packets. It's as simple as that.
Is it easy to, whenever I think of chefs like yourselves, world-class chefs, you think you can't eat anything they would make and for it to be healthy. Is it possible to, you know, buy your book, and obviously there's some really luxurious stuff in there, some very rich sauce and stuff like that. Is there can you make it real simple as well?
Yeah, well, it's all very simple. It's really simple. If you look at the tuna, for example, it's black olives out of a jar, capers out of a jar, olive oil out of a bottle, a little bit of lemon, a bit of fresh coriander. Just buy good ingredients, really, and keep it simple. It's like if you look at the pig with the Calvados sauce. What is it? It's a glass of apple juice into a pan, reduce it down. A glass of cider, reduce down. Glass of cream, all same quantities. Bring to the boil, cook it to coating consistency. Bit of Knorr in there. Finish off with a bit of Calvados.
Sounds good.
Because remember, your palate should dictate. Your palate should dictate if it's a bit too much, if it's a bit too sweet for you. Add a bit more Calvados. A recipe should only be a guideline. A book's there to inspire and to give people confidence. It's not there to confuse. And just serve it on a big platter and put it in the middle of the table. Don't try and plate it individually like chefs do. I mean, you'll sink like the Titanic.
Someone's trying to ring you there.
Don't worry about it.
Just if you move it over slightly because it's actually picking up on the mic there. That's grand now. So when you go, what would be your favourite ingredients in the world? Things you couldn't live without. I mean, okay, let's go through it. You couldn't live without lemon and garlic and pepper and salt.
And all the obvious.
Yeah, the obvious ones. Is there one that you just think, I have to have coriander seeds, or I have to have basil, or
Salt.
Salt, number one.
I mean, take salt out of cooking, it's quite boring, it's quite bland a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So, but that's again the great thing of bottles. It puts all that flavour in for you, because the average person struggles to create flavour, and flavour is born out of technical ability.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got technical ability, then turn to the bottle.
Right. I've done that. I'm way ahead of you.
I love a double entendre.
I've done that long ago.
You're very charming, you two.
Jim has this great question. If we went out, if we were looking up to go out with you on the night for the night, Marco.
Yeah, it's certain professions. Like sometimes we meet someone, we go, "Oh, they're." I'd say they're a Who fan, or I'd say they're into U2, or I'd say they're
Spice Girls.
Can you tell from looking at us what we'd enjoy? Just that instinct that a chef has. Like, he looks like a man who.
A pint of Guinness down the boozer.
I'd like a pint of Guinness. Yeah, well, that's
not a trendy bar, a proper bar,
yeah,
but a tradition.
That's it.
Yeah.
Somewhere you can sit and sort of, okay, you can't smoke anymore.
No
but somewhere
telly.
you can imagine where you could have a fag and sit down, have a pint, have a chat with the mates. Just a proper place,
Yeah.
a proper eating house.
He's good.
Nothing too
Food
posh,
wise.
nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
Straightforward. Because you boys go out to enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
You're not going to go to some smart restaurant unless you're trying to entertain a young lady.
Woo a lady.
Is your restaurant
Yes.
a smart restaurant? Is your restaurant just a nice place to go?
Steakhouse in Dawson Street. Firstly, it has the best maitre d' in town.
Right, very important.
Gina, there is no one like her.
Right.
Even in London, I don't know one person who's as good as she is. There may be people with more technical ability than she has, but you know something? She looks after the customers, she mothers the customers, she makes them smile, she hugs them. She works the floor fantastically well. She is the best. And if you took Gina out of that establishment, it wouldn't be quite the same. Because we are in the business of selling a night out. We're in the business of selling fun. We're in the business of selling a package. It's as simple as that. I mean, I don't want to go to a Michelin-starred restaurant. It's like dining in the Chapel of Rest. It's not for me. I mean, and then you're asked 10 times, did you enjoy it? 10 times to tell you what you're eating, and how to eat it. It's not my gig.
Yeah.
The problem with the modern day Michelin-starred restaurants, in my opinion, the romance has been stripped out of them. If you think back to the great restaurants of the 50s and the 60s and 70s, they all had one thing in common apart from great food and great service. They were romantic.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that never dates. We love a bit of romance.
My brother and my nephew were in your restaurant last week, and I have their report card.
Did they enjoy it?
They loved it. They had the game pie and said it was top notch. Couldn't speak highly enough about it. And they had that with red cabbage, and they had the house red. Bingo.
Straightforward, and it comes in at a price point.
Yeah.
Because if you create a price point which everyone can afford, then you've ticked all the boxes. Because we know you've got fun. We know you've got a very good standard of food. You've got the best maitre d' in Dublin. You know something? And there's different menus at different price points. So it allows everybody in Dublin to eat there at some time within the week at affordable prices. And really, for me, the future of dining out is affordable glamour. Package things, wrap things, and look after your punters.
When you're in town, how do they feel in the kitchen? Do they get a bit nervous?
No, I'm scared of them. They scare me. Don't go in there.
Here comes he's on a tour.
No, they're very nice. They're very nice, the chefs. I had a cup of tea with Niall, the chef, this morning. Very nice, very humble. A lot of humility. Works really hard. And, tries hard. And, we spoke about the red cabbage this morning.
Yeah.
And for my palate, as I said last night, it's delicious, red cabbage. But for my palate, I could tell it was ground cinnamon. If you want to put cinnamon in, then use a stick.
Right.
Because I don't want to feel that texture on my palate. Secondly, it can leave that little bitter aftertaste. And so we had a little chat about the red cabbage, and I just said, get the balance of sugar and vinegar correct. In my opinion, we just had that little bit too much vinegar for my palate. Remember, it's my palate, and my palate is not necessarily correct. But Niall takes it all on board. And I know by tonight's evening service, he'll have readdressed it. He understood exactly what I was saying, and he will have readdressed it, because nothing's perfect in this world.
So it's a mutual respect thing.
And it is respect. It's not for me, because he runs the kitchen. He feeds 1,500 to 2,000 people a week. He grafts like very few boys. He's quite old school, and he's very consistent. You have to respect him. I admire him. He's doing a job which I couldn't do.
What do you mean? Why?
Because I couldn't do what he does. I couldn't feed that number of people.
But you did. You used to. But
Not that number. I used to feed maybe 70, 80 a night at
Right,
three-star
okay.
level. It's like running the 100 metres and running the 800 metres.
Yeah.
That's what I was great at. That's what I trained to do, was to feed 80 people, sometimes 100, to 3-star Michelin standard, which is another talent.
Right, okay.
What Niall does is hundreds of people to a very high standard and very consistent. So if you're walking at 7:30 or you're walking at 9:30 or 8:30 or 10 o'clock, you get the same on your plate. And that's a great talent, to be able to feed that number of people that well within that time frame. Genius.
Can you ever just go into a McDonald's and have a bit
I don't mind going to McDonald's. I think it's quite amusing. I walk in, it goes silent. They all look at me.
Does a noise
They
go off?
can't believe it.
Dun, dun.
They're all sort of saying,
Oh,
you
God,
know what
bada,
they're
bada,
saying, you
bada.
can read their mind. You don't have to read lip read, you can read the mind.
Make sure his chips
he
are
looks
hot.
like Marco Pierre White. No, it couldn't possibly be Marco Pierre White. He wouldn't walk into a McDonald's. Because when I go to Deerstalk, and I go and have one of those Mac breakfasts or whatever they're called with the sausage meat. They're genius. And my assistant in the morning used to work for McDonald's, so he makes them do a fresh one for me. It's genius. It's very funny.
So we're round your gaff. Give us a recipe before you go. We're round your house, and we've all had a load of Governor's ales, right? Which
Tell
is,
Love
us
the
about this very
governor.
quickly.
which is your new ale, which we haven't had yet, but we're looking
I
forward
will
to.
send you some.
Do.
This isn't out yet, sure isn't it?
It's actually, the name is from a greyhound,
Yeah.
which was an Irish dog. Because it was an Irish greyhound. Because Irish greyhounds all have tattoos in their ears.
Right.
And it was found on my father's best friend's farm, killing his chickens. So they fed it up, they looked after it, they put it into training. But they could only run it on flapping tracks. And a flapping track is an unlicensed track, so you can take a dog there
Right.
without any papers.
Okay.
And the hair was always on the inside, not on the outside, and the dogs were handicapped. He always ran from trap 1 in his red coat. And he set 3-track records at Doncaster, Halifax and Keighley in the late 60s. And I've got to be honest, I like a pint. I prefer a pint to a glass of wine.
Do you?
I do, actually.
Wow, I would have thought you'd be a big
Well,
one.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to eat British food, or real Irish food,
Yeah.
it's designed to be eaten with a pint,
Yeah.
not a glass of plonk.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's...
I mean,
I like both.
Yeah.
but, you know, if I have my fish and chips, I want a pint, and I want my sliced white bread and butter, so I can
So
make a
what's
chip
Governor's
butter.
Ale like? Is it
It's 4%,
nice?
delicious, old-fashioned pint, J.W. Lee's. It's made 1822 in Lancashire, which is Middleton, and it's a proper pint. The brewery's run by a family. I mean, a really proper pint, and you know, I just think it's quite nice. And so they said, Marco, think of a name, and I always like to be nostalgic and romantic about everything I do. And I was at home, and I've got this picture of me and my 2 brothers in 1968, just after my mother's death, and there's a picture of me and the governor, and you know, I just thought, the governor.
Cool.
And I just think it's a good name, so
It
I went
is.
to register the name for a pint. I couldn't believe no one had ever registered it. And so, the governor.
Because you imagine people going into pubs and saying 2 pints,
All
Governor.
right, Governor.
Now they'll say, is that 2 pints of Governor you want? Yeah.
Governor.
Or you
2
just
pints
like
of
me.
governor.
2 pints, Governor. Governor.
But it's not out yet, sure it's not. It's not out.
It comes out at end of February, early March.
Brilliant.
And
So-
so it'll be served in Dawson Street. And
Brilliant. Well, we've had a few.
served here as
Imagine
well.
we've had a
We've had a
few
few places.
governors, and we're going to do look. We're just at home, and we want to cook something within 20 minutes. That's just going to bit of soakage.
We're in your place now at
When
3
you're
in the
place,
morning.
and you say, lads, I'm not doing it. Go into the kitchen now and follow the following instructions to make a delicious man snack.
okay.
Jim, what if we get it wrong?
We won't get it
Remember,
wrong. We're gonna,
at
this is
3
all
o'clock
recorded.
in the morning,
Yeah.
you don't have much in your fridge.
Right.
So therefore, you open the cupboard. We've all got spaghetti, right or wrong.
Spaghetti. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We've all got a tube of tomato puree,
Yeah.
Check,
I have
yeah.
one of them.
an onion,
Yeah.
a garlic, bit of bacon, bottle of olive oil.
Nice.
Chop your onion up, slice your garlic, chop your bacon up in the olive oil. Cook without colour.
Okay.
But while that's cooking, you're boiling your pasta. Okay?
Yeah.
Pasta, approx 8 minutes if you like it al dente. Drain the pasta. Add a generous amount of tomato puree into your bacon, garlic, and onions in the olive oil.
You can't
So it's
do it.
nice and red.
He's doing the pans
No,
just
he
for
is.
people at
And
home.
then in with
He's
the
actually doing the
Then
pans.
in with the
air
spaghetti.
pans.
He's done it so many times.
Big,
It's like,
big bowl of spaghetti.
Yes.
With bacon, and that's how my dear mother used to make it. Because when Mum
Lovely.
was busy, whether it's she was doing the seamstressing or whether Mum's, doing the ironing or the cleaning or whatever.
Yeah.
Because Mum was Italian, and so therefore, for Mum to knock up a bowl of delicious pasta
She can't get it wrong.
in 8 minutes,
Yeah.
delicious. And one day I was round with another 3-star chef, a couple of 1-star Michelin chefs in 1990, at Jonathan Mead's house, who was the food critic
Yeah.
of the Times at the time, great food critic. And we were all hungry, so he said, Marco, we should knock something up. But he had nothing in his fridge apart from these ingredients. So I make this big bowl of pasta. They love it. They think it's delicious. But I haven't got the confidence to say, this is how Mum used to make it, because I was a young boy then.
Yeah.
Anyway, about 10 years after that, Jonathan Mead did an article on me. And he said, the day I knew Marco Pierre White was a genius was the day he made pasta for me on New Year's Day in 1990. And I thought, it was my dear mother.
Well done, Ma.
But she was a genius, not me.
Excellent. Well, listen, that's a lovely story. It was great to meet you. Continued success. Marco Made Easy, a 3-star chef makes it simple is the book. And the restaurant is on Dawson Street.
I'm just can't wait for the ale.
And the ale is coming soon.
It's coming, the governor's coming,
It's
he's
all
on
happening.
his way. He's coming back home,
Excellent.
but in a bottle this time.
Okay, yeah.
He left as a pup and he's coming back in a bottle.
Excellent. Well, listen, it was lovely to meet you.
Pleasure, thank you.
And come and see us again soon.
God bless and happy Christmas.
Anyone
and
that
New Year.
tells me you're scary from now on, I'm going to tell them they're talking rubbish.
Not scary. I'm a wuss. I'm a little mouse. I went to some radio station earlier on and they said, you're meeting Harvey. I said, is he a 6-foot white rabbit? They looked at me very strangely.
Thanks very much.
FM104, the Strawberry Alarm Clock.
I'll start you off, Gary. A million love songs later. No,
Here I am, trying to get you to sing.
Is that what you want? Is that what you
is
want?
it?
You
Well,
want us to
is,
sing?
is it? Yeah,
Just
go on.
putting it out there.
Go on.
You light the skies up above me.
Yes, you do.
Wow.
Weekdays from 6 a.m. FM104's Strawberry Alarm Clock.